JLRock % off collector here, and we have the amazing Yamaguchi Arkham Knight Batman Red Hood Jason Todd. But not really, because I got this from AliExpress, and you'll see that I've been going to AliExpress a lot. Why? Because I've been finding some pretty good deals on knockoffs, and I'm actually have some tips to give people because I've actually seen people interested in the knockoff stuff, which is good because not all of us have a lot of money. But the question is this worth it for your collection? Let's find out. Alright, so again, I made a trip back to AliExpress, and honestly, a lot of this has to do with when I decide to open something, because honestly, I buy things when I see something I like and if there's a good deal. So when those two things come together, sometimes I end up buying a lot of things, especially when there's a deal. So we're going to just start going into the figure itself, but I'm also going to talk about the process just in case people are interested in it. So one of the first things that you should notice, like whenever you go and you buy something from AliExpress, is you're going to have a dented up box. And there's actually a little trick, not trick, but a thing that you can do to kind of mitigate that. But I mean, even before looking at the figure, I will definitely just say, if you're a box collector, AliExpress probably isn't going to be for you. I've definitely seen cases where some boxes arrive fine, but so many, for some reason, especially action figures, they do not. But I do like how this box looks. I mean, it's cool, like the artwork and stuff on it. But I mean, obviously, you know, this is a knockoff. It isn't the real thing, and you can kind of see that. But like for me, that's not the thing. Like I'm not one of those collectors that would ended up with a, you know, actual Yamaguchi figure based on the cost anyway. You know, it's the same thing with like Hot Toys and stuff like that. That's just not going to be the thing that I get unless maybe it's a gift. But even that, I don't see myself getting it as a gift. But one of the things that I have said with some of these knockoffs and stuff is that a lot of times they've been really decent, but you're not really sure, which is why reviews help. And a lot of times if something is low cost enough, I'll just pick it up just to see because it seems cool. But you know, it all depends on what you're willing to spend, what you're looking for in your different collecting requirements. So as you can see, this comes with a lot of stuff already. So for me, that's kind of what started it. I wanted a couple of figures that had that kind of armor. I have a Deathstroke coming up that I'm going to do a video on. So, you know, one of the things why I wasn't worried about the packaging as far as the box is because, you know, the way it looked packaged, I figured, hey, it looks like it was going to be okay. And also, it comes to stand here too, by the way. But like the packaging looked good and everything. So I was like, hey, look, as long as that comes okay, I'm not going to sweat having the box not be that great. So far, so good on that. Let me get these last little items out. And that's one of the things, like I said, I like all these items and accessories that you get with these figures, and that and the fact that you can switch around the armor to look, you know, how he does in his different suits is just sweet. So I liked the Arkham Knight suit, and then I also liked, you know, the Red Hood, and the fact that you can switch between these two, you know, just I don't know, it just really did it for me. So first off, when we talk about quality, like I said, since I never had an actual Yamaguchi figure, you know, I can only go with like reviews. So once I get the figure in, I can touch it, feel it, see what I think, tell you if, you know, how the quality looks. But I can't compare it directly to the real thing because I don't have the real thing. So I always say that for people out there who maybe they really, really want to get Yamaguchi and then they're like, okay, is this like 99% close enough or something? I can't answer that, but I always say that you're gonna have to expect that with any knockoff there's gonna be something. Usually what people talk about is little quality control as far as like paint and things like that. They'll be like, okay, the paint sculpt was off, you know, it wasn't painted well. Then of course it's the quality, the design, like does it feel flimsy? And that's the main thing that I look at, like is it flimsy? So the first thing I can just say is, you know, even though I'm not an expert at all, but I do buy a lot of figures and in a lot of different conditions, meaning I buy from garage sales, state sales, new, used. So I have had enough where I can just tell you, like, feeling something, like just a hand touch. Does it feel cheap or not? And this does not feel cheap. It doesn't feel like cheap plastic. Now, I also have seen in the reviews, like, the kind of like ball joints that they use on the Yamaguchi. So like I said, this is kind of my first any type of Yamaguchi figure, so I can't really speak too much on that as it is. I do know that it does look like this, like the real thing, as far as like how the arms look, and that is kind of a weird thing for me, but it's also because of all the range of motion that you get. I mean, like, look what you can do. And that's where I start out with, is like, okay, you know, I'm always careful anyway, no matter what I'm buying, because I'm always like, am I going to break something? But honestly, after a while, especially when you're testing something, you really want to see what you can do, because part of the thing about this is being able to do all these adjustments on it and see, like, hey, how does it feel when you adjust it? So I can say, I mean, it feels good. Like, I mean, it's not hard to move this at all. It's not stiff, but at the same time, it's not loose. So it's like, when you shake it, it's not like it's flying around, and it holds its pose. And that's the thing about having these joints here, is that you're able to do all those poses, because, I mean, look at that. You move that here, and then you can, I mean, look at that. You can go all the way back here. So, I mean, that's one of the reasons why I wanted to get this, because I wanted to see the posability, and that's something that I personally is working on as well, is doing poses. And to have a figure that's able to do all this, I mean, you know, just talking articulation, I mean, look at that, starting like down at the feet. I mean, you can rotate, you got the ball joint there, so you can do all types of turns with the feet and all that, and, you know, like the toe area and all that. And like I said, so far so good. And that's one of the things I look for, because especially when you get to these smaller points where you can articulate, you wonder, okay, can things fall off now, or just break? Now, all these things are removable. So I've been seeing. So, you know, one of the things I did see, like, when I was playing around with this, is that this came off, but it wasn't like a break thing. It's just that it does come off. And that's the thing, like, when you're moving around all the joints and all that. Oh, like, look at that. So that came off, but I don't think that's a break. I think that's just it. Yeah, that's just part of it. So it's like, you know, again, it's one of those things where it's like, you play around, you test it, you see, like, how does it feel and everything. But so far so good, as far as I say. It's like, I mean, look how you can move the legs. So you're able to move that all around. And like I said, like, look at it, a full rotate, but again, it came out. So this is a good opportunity to take a look. So I guess it could be like what they're talking about, like here. But I mean, I guess that could be, see, that's the thing, like, in between here, I don't know enough to say, like, if that's something wrong. Like, to me, it's like, if the piece goes back in and it fits, then that's fine. But it looks like all these pieces have the ability to do that, but I don't know how easily that is supposed to happen or not. So I mean, I haven't had a figure like that. So to me, it's like, okay, if it goes back in and you're still able to move it around, then I'm fine with it. If not, then that would be where I have the problem. But, you know, you have the full waist turn as well. I was actually curious, like, was the waist gonna, like, pop out or something? And you have the ab crunch, really good ab crunch there. And of course you can rotate the hands, because you can switch the hands off. Of course, we already see you can do at the elbows, the shoulders, the head. Really good movement with the head. So, like I said, overall, I'm already happy. I'm just happy that, you know, this thing looks good. Doesn't feel like it fell apart, even though the pieces come off, but it's not like, as I said, it doesn't feel like it broke. It just feels like it's able to come off. I think I actually put this on the wrong way. But that's the most important thing to me, is like, for especially the kind of poses that I do, it's not something where I'm like, you move it once or twice and it's gonna break. So I guess that if this was something like you would give to a child, then maybe that'd be more of a concern, because, you know, you start playing with it and fall apart. But just for posing it and putting in different you know, poses and things like that, and putting it up on a stand or something like that, taking pictures of it, I think it's fine. Let's just quickly do another glance to see if we see anything with the paint on this version. And it's like, I mean, it could be things like, you know how you look in on the corners there, but again, it's like, I don't see anything that's like so glaring that I'm like, oh my god, this ruins the figure. I mean, even like something on the knuckles, it's like, to me that would be like how it would look if you actually wore the armor. You know, I'm not seeing anything where I'm like, oh my god, this is terrible, or it looks like this doesn't look right or something like that. You know, even down to like the boots, the shoes, the back. Everything to me looks good. I mean, on the helmet, you know, the ears, I don't know if that like, it looks like a little off. So I mean, that could be a quality control thing, but I'm not 100% sure. But let's talk some of the accessories. So we also have the swords. So here you can see like some paint issue there, but again, not bad. It's like bendable sword, nothing crazy. There's two of them here. And you know, I've had legit figures where the swords are all bent and crazy, and these aren't. So I mean, that's cool so far. And like I said, you have the leg plates. These are the ones that were already on and that they came off while I was doing articulation, but these look nice. And then you have two daggers here. So again, cool. Looks nice. So far, so good. And notice that with the hand, though, it looks a little rough around the edges there. Like, you see how like the plastic was there, like the grappling hand. But again, nothing terrible for me. And then you can see some of the pieces that you can remove. So this is just an example of like all the stuff that you can take off of him. That's why, like, again, it pops off, because you're able to swap out these to put him more in his Red Hood outfit than his Arkham Knight outfit. So you can see that. And then like even little pieces like here, and larger pieces. So this is like the chest plate with the bat symbol, which is sweet. And as I said, you know, anyone out there who has the Yamaguchi can tell me if like, oh, that looks really terrible compared to X. Okay. For me, like, I'm not sure. It's like here, like, you could definitely see that looks like it's got to be a mistake with the paint, right? The red in the middle, like that, I would assume. But these are the things that you take into consideration when you're doing a purchase. See that? So here too, like with the fingers, like that, this here just looks like it wasn't properly removed from the mold, you know? So, I mean, not a big deal. Like, you could just do that yourself, but it's something to mention. And then here are the red leg, or I guess knee pads, knee plates. And here again. So, I mean, lots of pieces, man, lots of pieces. So you definitely want to keep these in a bag or something like that. And I like how it tells you like the side and everything. And then of course the helmet. You think that's sweet. The Red Hood helmet. The shine on it's really cool and all that. And of course we'll see how that all looks when we actually swap it out. This hand isn't so bad. So it's basically just different hand sculpts. So yeah, so overall, let's put this on the turntable and take a look before we switch out. All right, so now we have it here, not only on the turntable, but also on its stand. And I just wanted to show you, it's really cool that, you know, it has the basic stand where you're able to adjust it, make it higher, lower, bend it. You can put it basically at almost any section of him to hold him up and stuff like that. And I was playing around with the hands, and I also noticed that in the bag it had this little piece here. And if you notice, the reason why is because the way how this one, ooh, I almost dropped it. the way this one works is this is actually where you plug in the hands. So on the wrist area here, you actually would plug part of it into the hand, and then the other part goes into the hole on the wrist. So they give you an extra one, I guess, because they know that you can lose that. So it does make for an interesting look when you put it on. And of course, this being a knockoff, the quality can be, you know, a little bit suspect because, you know, as I showed you already with the hands, there was leftover plastic and stuff like that. But I was also playing around with the range of motion. But I mean, you could see, like, and this is not a thing against the knockoff, it's just in general, like with all the joints, how you're able to do such crazy poses. And that's really what I wanted out of this. So as I said, with any type of knockoff or anything, it's really about what you're looking to get. For me, I wanted to see what it was like to have this figure. I want to see what it was like to be able to do all these different type of articulations and all that. So, and of course having to switch out the armor, which I'm going to show you as well. But I think that that is a thing that is always a little bit, I guess, dangerous. I don't know, that's too harsh of a word, but with something like this, with so many parts, so many things to switch out, you know, going with a knockoff is always more difficult, because anything that has more parts, more things that switch out, more articulation, there's just more likely for a quality control issue to creep up, and then you could have an issue. But it doesn't have to be that way. Another thing is interesting is that I was looking around, there isn't really any place to store any other weapons, and even like the hands itself. I mean, you can see most of it is like, you have like the fist, you have like the pointing hand, you have kind of like a grapple come hither hand. So the hands on him now are really the only ones for grappling. This is kind of like the best one here for that, is that one to hold the sword. And then the other one you see is kind of like a pointed for like a gun, even though he doesn't actually come with a gun. But I have seen that I was able to fit both the sword and the dagger in that hand, so it hasn't been an issue as far as that part of it. But you know, like I said, for me, so far so good. We'll have to now see about actually switching out different plates, because I know that that could be an issue. Like for instance, the head, like I'm not even sure exactly how it switches off. I just know like that first little point on the arm came off itself. And I can also just tell, like looking at some of the pieces like here, like where it could come off. So I guess like that, let's just say on the shoulder, I mean that's simple enough. And then you can swap it out. That's it. High or low like this. I guess it's like that. So, you know, that's an example of something more simple where that was easy to switch over to that color. And then of course, like you have his upper arm, so it's like all of this looks like it. See, I wanted to show you, oh, this was the one thing that I would say that could also be a quality control, because you should be able to just take it out without it coming here. But as you see, when I pull that out, then it comes here too. So you end up having to pull this out, and now you have to be careful that you're not dropping this as you put it back in the hole. So I don't know if that happens on the Yamaguchi or not, on the real thing, but it does happen here. And then you can see, then you can plug it in like that. So that is something to keep in mind as far as switching out the place. Oops, I think I just popped it off again, but that was just me. All right, so I'm going to switch it out, all the armor pieces, and then see how it looks after that. All right, so here he is with his, I guess it'd be mainly his red Arkham Knight, because he doesn't actually have the bat symbol chest piece on yet. But let me just quickly tell you, obviously there are little quality control issues that I encounter, even with like the way the legs pop off and stuff like that. But the thing is that with this figure, everything comes apart. Like basically on the arms here, this piece here is a separate piece that you saw before. It's this one here. So you have to pull this off on both ends and then reconnect it. The same thing with the armor plate here. Same thing down here with changing the legs. The helm was actually, the hood was actually pretty easy to come off. That one was on like a regular ball joint, so that wasn't actually difficult at all to switch out. So I didn't have any problem with that. Honestly, most of the problem came with the shoulders, just because it was really hard to reconnect these. But the thing I will say about that on the positive side of quality control is I really had to like push hard to get all the joints in and nothing broke. So the fact that I was able to do all that, all this switching around, really having to push in, especially on the larger joints up here, and it didn't break, you know, I thought that that was cool. And then you can see down here the little plates on the feet. That's really the only change that I made down there. So switching out the arms was a little bit more difficult. The head was easy. I would say that the chest plate was probably the easiest thing to switch out. And I actually feel confident enough to do this on camera because the other one I didn't. So you can see that was it. You just lift it off here, bam, and then you have that open chest plate here. So then we can put on, see, and look at the arm came out, of course. So you can put that on. So you can see here, I can show you really quickly with the arm. So you can see, like, if you can see down there, like this comes in. I think maybe I didn't push that in all the way because I don't think that was actually the figure. I think that was just me pushing that in. But you can see now, you know, you have him there, and you can see you can stand him up without the stand or anything. So I just wanted to show you that as well. Oh, so that's more the turnstile than me. But as I would say, overall, I paid for this. Let me look at what I paid. So this was on sale when I bought this. So this was $17.53. Okay, I think I checked this as a recording. They have it on sale for $24.78. But there's always deals on these because most of them, all the companies sell the same thing. I'll just say quickly, I always click on where it says choice. That's an option that you have, and I like that one because they give you faster delivery, better you know, returns, free returns, price adjustments, free shipping over 10 bucks. Usually there's a coupon that you can get that can give you anywhere from $1 to $3 depending on how much you spend. So you can really start to chop, you know, the price down on something like this. So I mean, honestly, like I said, for 17 bucks just to get my hands on this and to play around with it, it was interesting. Now, me, myself, I don't know if I really want to be switching out all these parts, but I do think that overall it looks cool. And like I said, you literally can pull off every single piece of this guy to basically where it's like, it would just basically be a torso, that's it. Like, that's all you would have left. But I am happy to have this at my collection, especially at that price point. I don't know how much, you know, knockoff Yamaguchis I'm really interested in getting. I think I actually did pick up the Wolverine because it was the same price. So I'm going to have a review coming up on that to see if it's any better or not. But overall, I still think that it looks cool. I just have to get used to all the posing and all that and make sure that I push everything in correctly. But the fact that with all the pulling, rearranging, and pushing, nothing broke, I am happy to have this as part of my collection. Hey, thanks for checking out the channel. And if you like what you've seen, please consider giving us a like, comment, a sub, all that stuff. It really helps the algorithm as we try to make a push to reach out to more collectors that, like me, like to get that discount. Because you know how I say, no discount, no deal. Alright, catch you later.